Hello there, everybody. Once again, as always, a bit more of a segmented video this time instead of the usual live stream. But hey, if you want to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, we'd always appreciate it. And now, on to the video. So today, guys, we have an important game to talk about. Just a little bit. It's only the Super Bowl. It's only Kansas City versus Philadelphia, the final game of the season, the most important game of the season. It is Super Bowl time once again. And so I think it's a bit more fun this year than usual for me, having a Kansas City fan and a Philadelphia fan in the room with me. So, I can go over specifics here. I could say the Eagles are a 1.5-point favorite. I can say all these other things, but I'm just going to start by letting you two discuss it, because for once I have people who are, I'm going to say, experts on their teams. I'm the one that's not really in charge here for once. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys for once.
Cade, you're always in charge, man.
Yeah,
okay. No, I think this is setting up to be one of the better Super Bowls in not only recent histories, but I think it could go down in one of the better ones for Super Bowl history. I mean, you look at the way these two teams are built. You look at the way these two teams are. I mean, they're very similar in a lot of different ways from this offense and defense standpoints, coaching-wise. It could go in a long, different direction for these two teams. And I think the Eagles have the advantage in certain areas, while the Chiefs have the advantage in other areas. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And especially for the Eagles, with the matchup in the red zone, is where they can excel. For the Chiefs, they'll obviously have different spots. They have a more experienced roster and experienced coach, which could go a long way. And I think
I'm sorry for the interruptions here, but we're getting our food delivery. That we had an unexpected food delivery today, so we're kind of messing around that here. Andrew's got his tea, we have our drinks, so we're all set now.
We're all hydrated. But again, I think it's going to go a long, different direction or different way here in a lot of different areas. And I'm curious which way each team comes out with the game plan. See how aggressive both teams can be, because I think it can come down to who can stop a team to a field goal instead of a touchdown, because it's going to be yards after yards.
Yeah, I pretty much expect both teams to offensively just kick it into overdrive. Obviously, the way Eagles so far this postseason have played very well. I mean, they scored with really no issues against a good 49ers, one of the best teams in the NFL defensively with the 49ers. And defense pretty much did what they're supposed to do, but especially going against a really high-scoring team like Kansas City also, I'm expecting Philly's defense not to be as impressive as they've been in the divisional and championship game, but I do expect them to give Kansas City all kinds of problems, especially with all the players that they have on that team. It's going to be really high. It's going to be a solid, high-scoring game.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the meme or not, but we already know how this game is going to end.
Yes,
if you've seen the meme, it's the NFL script already got leaked. It's going to be a 37-34 game. We all know it's going to happen, but in all seriousness, looking at the over-under here, it's currently sitting at 51, and I find it funny because we always get to the Super Bowl, and usually it's the two best teams, or at least the two hottest teams. You got to be one or the other at least to get there. But this is one that I don't think we've had a matchup in a long time where you can look at it and, in the first few seconds looking at both teams, you can immediately say, yeah, that team's probably going to win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I think, again, that comes down to different areas and how close these two teams are. I mean, obviously, career-wise, obviously you're going to pick Mahomes. But if you're going strictly this season, it's a coin flip. I mean, that's why these two are probably going to get the most votes for MVP. Who's going to win, we don't know. I'd probably lean Mahomes. We'll probably get it, I think. I think he'll just get the edge on that. But my point is, you got arguably the two best quarterbacks in football this year. You have two coaches that got robbed that aren't finalists but should be. But anyway, two coaches that are very good. Again, Reed's got the experience, obviously. You both have a Kelsey, so you got that going for you. So, and again, I think if you compare the way these two teams have played, you look at some of the common opponents. Chiefs took care of business against the Titans and the Jaguars. So did the Eagles. So you both got comparisons there. And I mean, again, you look at it. Both are two dimensional, meaning you're not going to strictly rely on the running game. You're not going to strictly rely on the passing game. You can do both regardless. The Eagles have the sacks leader in the NFL. The Chiefs got the defensive player of the year finalist. So again, these two teams go neck and neck, hand in hand, and that's what's going to make this game so good. Is how even, and I'd be shocked if it's a blowout either way. I mean, I do not expect a Denver Carolina situation or something like that, and I'd be shocked if a team wins by double digits.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think one thing is Philly was, I think, especially mainly Jalen Hurts was predicted this year to take a step forward. I don't know if they were supposed to make it to the Super Bowl. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, Cowboys were division favorites.
Yeah, but I knew they were division favorites this year with the way their offseason overall went and how Jalen seemed to be progressing. So it was like I knew they were supposed to take forward, but Chiefs were not supposed to win the division. I think I wasn't surprised they would possibly make it back to the AFC Championship game, but they were supposed to take a step back after losing Tyreek Hill, and obviously the whole narrative is that they were supposed to fall back on production when reality is they had the same, if not better, production from all different all different players. You didn't have anyone on the receiving corps stand out from everyone else, but they all as a unit did great together, and obviously Kelsey having a great year again. So I think it was just now. So when everything kind of went, it seemed like going the direction. These two teams were favored to be the number one seeds, but obviously other stuff happened. But it's been about when was the last time we had number one seeds go off against each other? About 5-6 years.
Let's see. I think the Patriots were the one seed the year the Eagles won, right? So it's been 5 years ago there.
Yeah.
Eagles, Patriots. Man, I can't remember each seeding. I mean, this next Super Bowl was the Patriots against the.
Wait, weren't the Rams the number one team in there?
Last year?
No, number one seed.
Last year? Against. I knew the Rams beat last year.
No, never mind. No, I'm not.
So Rams played the Bengals last year.
Yeah. And no, neither one of them were the one seed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not 2 1 seeds.
That wasn't what I was referring to. I was meant like the one Super Bowl prior to that for the Rams. But
prior to the Rams would have been.
But I realized Chiefs were the number one seed and didn't make it. So
okay.
I went back on that.
Who did the Patriots beat? It was like 13-9.
That was the Rams, I thought.
Oh, yeah,
I thought
right.
that was the defensive battle that everyone called one of the most boring games of all time.
Were the Rams the one seed that year?
Yes.
I don't know.
No, it was the Saints. Saints were 13-3.
I can't remember who the one seed was. I know the Saints beat the Eagles, but
It's one of those that you don't think it would be this hard to remember who was what, but it kind of is. You just kind of remembered the games. You don't remember the situation going into the game.
Well, let's just say it's kind of been a while since we've had two number one seeds play against each other.
Yeah.
But like offensive production, like there was just I remember Ian Rappaport, if I even said his last name right, NFL Network reporter. He basically pointed out how identical both teams were offensively. I'm like, that's scary, how identical both of them are in production.
Yeah, they both ended the year with 546 points. Mm-hmm. What are the chances that happens?
And they both have the same record.
Yeah, same record, same amount of points. Both have a Kelsey.
Both have had Andy Reid as well. I mean, it's for all the marbles.
Both have had Andy Reid. Both have had Nick Sirianni. That's been the big joke. Andy Reid got rid of Sirianni when he took over in Kansas City. Because, I forget who was there before Andy Reid. You know better than I would. But Sirianni was part of that coaching staff, so when Reid took over.
I could recognize the face, but I don't remember the name. I know who was there before. I just don't remember his name. But obviously, Reid came on when it came to staff. He chose to let Sirianni go, who was the wide receivers coach at the time. So obviously, Sirianni's he has tremendous respect for Andy Reid. He still has a chip on his shoulder, feeling that he at least should have been kept on the staff. But I think at the end, that wouldn't have, whether Sirianni was on the team or not, I don't think that would have changed really much of anything in regards to how it would have gone. He would have eventually found a head coaching job. Anyways, he probably still would have ended up in Philly regardless. But I'm happy for Sirianni for what he has been able to do. in his in his second season there, and obviously Andy Reid being the veteran, winning a Super Bowl, and this is the third Super Bowl he's coached. So obviously, experience might come down to some of this, but there's still plenty of guys on that Philly team that have received some experience from the previous squad that made it.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that's going to come down here, and a big part of how this game plays out. And I know we hear he's fine, but we really don't know how he is until we see how the game starts. And that's Mahomes' ankle. I mean, you saw it kind of banged up a little bit at the end of that Cincinnati game, and I know he's got 2 weeks, but I mean, and again, you're going to hear he's fine the whole week.
Yep.
But I mean, again, the Eagles live off their defensive front, and I mean, Reddick's got over. The Eagles had 3 guys. Yeah, I think there's 3, maybe even 4 guys in double-digit sacks this year, and Reddick, Graham, and some other guys, and I think that can go a long way, and they're gonna put pressure on Mahomes all day, and I think he's not gonna be able to scramble as much as he has in the past. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's gonna come down to that too, is how healthy is that ankle, and you'll find out early in the game, and I think he'll be fine then, but it's more the longevity factor by the end, like you saw in the Cincinnati game, because I mean, hypothetically, that game went to overtime. The Chiefs are probably in trouble with the way that hit was. And everything. So that's why I would be worried about a little bit is the Mahomes ankle factor too.
So I will say, Bengals offense near the end of that game started stalling out, and obviously big plays made by the defense. Even though I still probably believe that. I think in that back and forth affair, both offenses stalling. I think Cincy would have found a way to get down the field, while the KC offense was a bit just as much, if not more, in trouble. So I agree with that. But this one is just—it's really tough. It's really tough to decide who overall is like going to be the clear. There's no clear favorite. So obviously you can point to which like defense is better statistically and overall. Philly has the better defense by far. They give up less amount. They only give up 215, while as Chiefs overall, when Chiefs defense is on, they can hold anybody down. I mean, they were able to hold Josh Jacobs, the leading rusher of the NFL, to like hardly anything. But then they've given up a bunch of passing yards, so that's really been a lot on them on that aspect.
Yeah, I think a big thing here too is it's going to come down to the Chiefs. I mean, you lose Hardman, which is unfortunate. I mean, it'd be fun, like both these teams going full force. But I think a big thing the Eagles might be able to take advantage of is some of the inexperience there in the cornerbacks with A.J. Brown and Smith. And that's an area I want to see the Eagles try to pick apart there early in the game from an Eagles standpoint there. And I think they can, and I think that's what it could come down to. I think that's what it is going to come down to. Again, who can get a big red zone stop and force a field goal instead of a touchdown. And I think that's going to be the difference. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 point game.
And I would say it also comes down to trusting your skill guys to make big plays. Yep. Obviously, for Philadelphia, you have Devontae Smith, who's just been phenomenal in these playoffs. And that's just a guy that Hurts can rely on to make the big play when he needs it. Even if the throw is not necessarily right on point, Devontae will make a play, especially whether he's covered by McDuffie or any of the other secondary. Devontae, I'd pick him over any of the secondary with Kansas City. It'll have to come down. Big thing is for Hurts is as long as his throws are for the most part very accurate, they'll be fine. But if anything's remotely right there for the taking, Chiefs will take advantage of it. It's one thing the defense overall has been for Kansas City is bend, don't break, and take advantage of mistakes by the quarterback or anyone else, because they'll hop right on it. But I'd say overall, in regards to edge, mainly because it comes down to defense, you probably would give it to Philly. It's the reason why they're favored 1.5 on betting lines, because they're overall top to bottom, they're a much more together team. But it'll have to come down to does Hurts step up when it matters?
Well, we've discussed some of the storylines, the stats. You look at them here, of course, similar enough offensively. Kansas City averages 29 a game. Philadelphia averages 28. Defensively, Kansas City gives up 20 a game. Philadelphia only giving up 7. Kansas City averages 20 more yards a game. Philadelphia with the difference there of about 135 yards. But you can throw all of that out the window when it comes to one game left. Stats can only tell so much of a story. It all comes down to what happens at State Farm Stadium, which one final stat there, whoever wins that is going to have officially more home wins than the Cardinals will. So congratulations there to whoever wins. You have a better home record than Arizona. But it's finally time to make a decision. 1.5-point favorites are the Eagles, over under 51. So I'll turn it back over to you two. I think I know the answers I'm going to get on this. Maybe you'll surprise me. I don't know. But who wins and why?
Yeah, first I'm shocked that the over-under is kind of that low. I think we'll clear that by at least a touchdown. And I think as even as these two teams are, I think I lean Eagles because of the defense. And I think we've seen the Chiefs' red zone defense struggle at times, and I think that's where it's going to come back to play, as I mentioned. And I think the Eagles are going to be able to get a red zone stop or like near the red zone, force a field goal. And I think the Eagles take the game 31-27.
Yeah, for this one, that is a very logical sounding pick. Really, no one can really argue against that one. But for this one, I'm going to have Chiefs defense. Well, like I said, they bend but don't break. I think that will be enough to make some key stops, force Jalen Hurts to throw an interception in a key moment of the game, and Chiefs take advantage of it, and they only win by a field goal, 34-31. I definitely would pick the over on this one.
See, to me, I feel like we see a trend in these Super Bowls where we're going to have two teams that are kind of, both have good defenses, but the offenses are obviously going to steal the show. That's what generates, the most interest. And every time, to me, it feels like we have two of these, look at these great, fantastic offenses. The defense ends up stealing the show. To me, it feels like that always seems to happen. We talked about the Patriots-Rams game, and that was one of the big examples of, it turns into a first to 13 wins, and who would have ever thought that would have been the case between those two. But to me, it's going to come down to the Chiefs' offense versus the Eagles' defense, and I think Philadelphia can get one stop, and I think that's all they're going to need. To me, this is a bit more of a low-scoring game. I think that over-under 51 is kind of right on the money. I'm going Eagles 27-24 in a lower-scoring game, but it'll be a hard-fought game, and it might come down to Mr. Elliott himself to win it and send the Eagles back home victorious. But as always, folks, thank you for tuning in. If you want to give us a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think is going to happen. Are we right? Are we wrong? How wrong are we? How right are we? I don't know. There's 3 of us. Maybe one of us hits somewhere close to home with you. I got no idea. But as always, folks, have a good evening and have a good Super Bowl Sunday, everybody.